Hello, basketball people, we have news. Let's go to more news about the Golden State Warriors. I ask you to give a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel, as I am a Warriors fan. Will the Warriors end up trading Kuminga? Golden State's initial priority is to restore the health of its players and overcome the most difficult part of the season. After this phase, the front office should conduct a complete assessment of the roster's needs, and this will almost certainly include an analysis of the market for Kuminga. Warriors given new chance to land Dream 3 and D wing. The Golden State Warriors' interest in New Orleans Pelicans wing Trey Murphy 3 is one of the NBA's worst-kept secrets. This past offseason, the Warriors reached out to the Pelicans on a potential deal for the 3 and D wing, per insider Mark Stein. With the Pelicans off to a 3-16 start, and not incentivized to tank, could Murphy be available ahead of the February 5 trade deadline? According to ClutchPoint's Brett Siegel, the Pelicans and Indiana Pacers have emerged as trade suitors for Jonathan Kuminga, potentially opening the door for the Warriors to acquire Murphy. Along with the Pacers, another team the Warriors will likely talk with about Kuminga is the New Orleans Pelicans, Siegel reported on November 28. Both Herb Jones and Trey Murphy 3 are players the Warriors have great interest in, and they are the type of versatile wings the Dubs would want in a deal involving Kuminga. Warriors trade target, Trey Murphy. Stein reported in August that members of the Warriors organization hold Murphy in high regard and view him as a perfect fit in their system. Sources say that the Warriors have a strong affinity for Murphy and have made outreach to New Orleans as recently as this summer, Stein wrote. Yet sources say that the Pelicans, to be clear, have batted away calls for the 25-year-old, valuing him highly. It's worth noting that a lot has happened since Stein's report in August. The Pelicans, who don't own their first-round pick in 2026, may have no option but to part with Murphy, Jones, and other veterans, to potentially acquire draft assets and young players to pair with their blossoming duo of Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears. A stylistic fit. Murphy, who has averaged 3.0 made threes per game over his last 3 seasons, would be an ideal fit in the Warriors' offense. For one, he thrives off the ball, a skill set that seems to work wonders for players who feed off Stephen Curry's gravity. Also, at 6'9", he's a versatile defender who can guard 4 positions, another skill set that aligns with a Warriors defense that routinely goes small with Draymond Green at the 5. The San Francisco Standard's Tim Kawakami explained why the Warriors would trade Kuminga for Murphy in a split second if given the chance. The perfect salary, $25 million this season and signed for 3 more after this, age, 25, and skill set, acrobatic 3 and D wing, for a Kuminga trade. That is, from the Warriors' side, Kawakami reported on November 13. Conclusion: I don't know what Joe Dumars is doing in New Orleans, so maybe he'd dump Murphy to get Kuminga. The Warriors would do that in a split second and probably add things to the offer. I doubt Dumars would do it. Trey Murphy 3 is averaging 19.7 points, 6.2 rebounds, 3.2 assists and 1.7 steals in his 5th season with the Pelicans, while making 2.9 threes at a clip of 37%. Last year, he averaged a career-high 21.2 points, often serving as the number 1 option on offense. The 22-year-old forward still possesses considerable potential, making him one of the Warriors' most valuable trade assets. If a suitable offer arises, especially one that helps Stephen Curry recover quickly, a deal involving Kuminga seems increasingly plausible as the 2025 trade deadline approaches. The Golden State Warriors are likely to explore different trade opportunities far and wide once Jonathan Kuminga becomes eligible to be moved on January 15. The New Orleans Pelicans stand out though as an ideal trade partner for the Warriors if they are to move Kuminga, and fortunately it appears like there is a level of interest in the young forward according to Brett Siegel of ClutchPoints on Friday. Warriors will move Jonathan Kuminga to the Pelicans if they get their wish. As well as the teams that showed interest in Kuminga during his restricted free agency process, the Sacramento Kings and Phoenix Suns. Siegel has also mentioned the Indiana Pacers and Pelicans as possible next destinations for the 23-year-old. Along with the Pacers, another team the Warriors will likely talk with about Kuminga is the New Orleans Pelicans. Both Herb Jones and Trey Murphy 3 are players the Warriors have great interest in, and they are the type of versatile wings the Dubs would want in a deal involving Kuminga, Siegel wrote. New Orleans having any level of interest in Kuminga will be music to the ears of Golden State and their fans, with both Herb Jones and particularly Trey Murphy III being ideal targets that could help address either their perimeter defense issues, or the complete lack of scoring explosiveness beyond Stephen Curry and Jimmy Butler. Murphy makes only slightly more than Kuminga this season, while Jones makes significantly less. That makes them more realistic options than some of the stars the Warriors have been loosely linked with, including Anthony Davis and Domantas Sabonis, who would require the franchise giving up multiple rotation players and not just Kuminga. It's not particularly clear why the Pelicans would have interest in Kuminga given the overlapping skill sets between he and Zion Williamson, but perhaps this is under the presumption that the former number 1 overall pick is also on the move from New Orleans. Even then, does Kuminga really fit with young frontcourt piece Derek Queen? Regardless of the reasoning, there should be an element of excitement among Warrior fans whenever Kuminga and the Pelicans are mentioned in the same sentence. Jones has regularly been suggested as a potential trade target over recent seasons, while Golden State reportedly checked in on Murphy's availability as recently as this past offseason, according to NBA insider Jake Fisher of the Stein Line. For now, the Warriors will be hoping Kuminga can recover from injury amid a 7-game absence, with a potential return ironically against the Pelicans at Chase Center on Saturday night. Warriors in desperate need for potential starter after latest injury update. The Golden State Warriors might be in desperate need for more high-level role players than another star, such has been the inconsistent nature of their roster beyond the veteran trio of Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green. Fortunately, one potential starter-level player is nearing a return, with the Warriors providing an update on veteran guard DeAnthony Melton just prior to Wednesday's 110-96 loss to the Miami Heat at Caissa Center. DeAnthony Melton is likely to return for the Warriors next month. Golden State's update on Melton revealed that he'll be re-evaluated in another 10 days' time, having recently practiced and scrimmaged in Santa Cruz, along with being a regular presence on the Warrior bench through their first 17 games of the season. ESPN's Anthony Slater also reported in the aftermath of the media release that sometime in December has been a floating target for Melton's, return. With over a year having already passed since suffering a torn ACL against the Dallas Mavericks on November 12 last year, there is growing anticipation surrounding Melton's return and what he could potentially provide the Warriors over the second half of the season. That anticipation is only rising after back-to-back defeats for Golden State to the Orlando Magic, followed by the 14-point loss to the Heat where they were without veteran Stephen Curry, Jimmy Butler, Draymond Green and Al Horford, along with young forward Jonathan Kuminga, who has now missed 4 straight games due to knee tendonitis. The Warriors' role players have been inconsistent to put in nicely so far this season, potentially opening up an opportunity for Melton if he can return anywhere near his best form. Moses Moody has developed into a starting player with some big performances, but also combined for just 15 points on 21 shots over the recent back-to-back. Brandon Podziemski hasn't taken the leap many had hoped for and is coming off the bench as a result, leaving rookie guard Will Richard as a shock member of the starting lineup despite being taken 56th overall in the draft just 6 months ago. Melton has started in 93 of his last 121 games in the NBA, including 2 with the Warriors last season before his devastating knee injury. Whether he can return anywhere near the player he was is a big question mark given his injury history, but the desperation for that to happen is becoming palpable as the current role players struggle. Comments from 2 stars and Steve Kerr point to growing Warriors disconnect. They need to get on the same page quickly. The topsy-turvy season for the Golden State Warriors has continued after a brutal loss to the Houston Rockets on Wednesday night that also saw the team lose star point guard Stephen Curry for at least a week due to an injury. Now, the Warriors sit at 10-10 and it is still not altogether clear what this team's identity is or what its fate shall be. There's obviously a long way to go over the course of the season, and last campaign proved how Golden State can get off to a middling start before turning things around after the acquisition of Jimmy Butler in February. Warriors stars seem to be out of step with head coach Steve Kerr. It remains to be seen if this season will be a repeat of last season, But the Warriors are going to have to figure things out sooner or later if they want to make the playoffs and make another run at a championship. One problem that could complicate this is that there seems to be a disconnect between two of the stars on the team, Butler and Draymond Green, and head coach Steve Kerr. After the loss against Houston, Green reiterated his belief that Golden State's defense has been subpar, using some colorful language. In the cleaner part of Green's comments, he said, "Defense is about demeanor. So if there's letdown after letdown and it kills your demeanor, it kills your bravado, then you're just a soft team." Butler seems to believe the same thing, saying, "You got to box out. You got to guard." All of these things that we say we're gonna do that we do sometimes, but most of the time we don't. Meanwhile, Kerr has contended that the offense is where he sees the most issues, saying, "I'm not worried about our defense. I'm more worried about our offense right now. Not a whole lot of rhythm. Not a lot of flow." Maybe since Butler and Green take such pride in their defense, they are more likely to point that out as a flaw, while Kerr, perhaps being a bit more offense-minded, is going to see the flaws on that end more. Either way, the Warriors are clearly not cutting it at either end of the floor. Both Kerr and his two star players are right that things need to improve, and the sooner everyone can get on the same page with what exactly the biggest issue is, the sooner the Warriors can get back to playing the sort of basketball we know they're capable of. Jimmy Butler gives Warriors a brutal reality check in Steph Curry's absence. Jimmy Butler emphasizes Steph Curry's importance to the team as they face his absence. The Golden State Warriors, after starting out the season with a disappointing 10-10 record, are now set to be without their superstar Stephen Curry for at least a week as he heals up from a quad injury he suffered in their last game against the Houston Rockets. In the meantime, Jimmy Butler will need to step up and take over the role of primary scorer, and, in reflecting upon Curry's absence, he gave the team a brutal reality check that is a rough reflection upon their play as of late. "We're gonna have to be damn near perfect. We're not going to have the ultimate bailout on our team." While, in many ways, Butler simply stated the obvious, given Curry's enduring importance to the team, it also serves as a reflection upon the inconsistent performances of their role players. With Curry out, the Warriors will not be able to depend on his superhuman performances to bail them out of subpar play from the team, and this next stretch will serve as a major test of their ability to remain viable with or without him. The Warriors desperately need more from their players outside of Butler and Curry. As always, Curry has been magnificent this season. Through his first 16 games, he is averaging 27.9 points, 3.7 rebounds, and 4 assists while shooting 39.1% from three-point range. He has already had 7 games where he scored 30 or more points, in 3 of which he has scored 40 or more. Butler, meanwhile, has been the perfect complementary star for Curry. He is averaging 20 points, 5.6 rebounds, and 4.9 assists while shooting a remarkable 45.9% from beyond the arc, albeit on low volume. The Warriors' problem, therefore, lies in the performance of their peripheral players. Brandon Podziemski and Buddy Hield have struggled mightily this season to remain consistent, and the ascendant play of players such as Moses Moody and Will Richard has not been enough to make up for this deficit. If Golden State has any hopes at making a run at a championship this year, they cannot be wholly dependent upon Curry to help them climb out of holes they dig for themselves on a nightly basis. That was the case early last season, and it was the reason the organization pulled the trigger on the Butler trade. Therefore, Butler's statement rings true in multiple ways. Not only will the team struggle without Curry, but, if they are not able to improve their play around him, they will continue to struggle when he returns as well. NBA Cup elimination finally gives Warriors a break in the schedule. The Golden State Warriors are approaching the first prolonged break in their schedule. The Golden State Warriors have plenty of things to blame for their 10-10 record to start the season. One factor that has been out of the team's control has been the NBA schedule. None of the other 29 teams have played more games or had more back-to-backs than the Dubs so far this season. While the Warriors have dodged any massive long-term injuries, the wear and tear has taken several key players out of the lineup. Thanks to being eliminated from the NBA Cup, Golden State is about to get a break. The league finalized schedules on Saturday, filling in the early December gap left in every squad's schedule for the NBA Cup. The Warriors will now host the Minnesota Timberwolves on December 12 and go to Portland 2 days later to play the Trail Blazers on the 14th. Most valuable for Golden State, they will have 4 days off prior to facing the Wolves and 3 days off after facing the Blazers. In other words, they will have just 2 games over the 10-day span from December 8 to 17.